Stephen Colbert doesn't often get stars to stumble, but that night, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry did just that, live on air. As Meghan insisted 3 times that "I'm a real person," Colbert mirrored her phrasing back 5 seconds later with that sly grin, and the room froze. You could feel the air change. That moment cracked her polished image in real time. So here's the question. When a joke becomes your undoing, who wins? The comedian or the truth?
Be some third cousin from Luxembourg with a prominent jaw? No. Turns out it's actress Meghan Markle. No.
You ever watch something so awkward that you start laughing out of secondhand embarrassment? That was this interview. Colbert didn't need to yell, roll his eyes, or act dramatic. He just kept that calm, witty energy and somehow made Meghan look like she'd walked into her own roast. The way he took that M&H story and turned it into comedy gold, pure genius. He didn't even have to say much, just the right tone, the right smirk, and the whole "I'm a real person" act fell apart right there on national TV.
Is gonna suck. The tears.
The part that really got me was how quickly the audience caught on. You could feel everyone trying not to laugh too loud, but also thinking, yeah, we've heard that speech before. When Colbert tossed in his sarcastic, she's real," it was like someone finally said what half the world was thinking. Meghan has built this brand around being misunderstood and real. And here's Colbert deflating it with a single joke. That's the power of humor. It tells the truth in a way that's impossible to argue with.
Sussex was gonna say the words "cushion" to me, and it would all make sense.
Then came the moment when Colbert subtly looked at Harry, and you could tell the prince wasn't sure whether to laugh or crawl under the desk. It was that quick second of realization that maybe all the carefully rehearsed talking points weren't landing. Colbert has this way of smiling while still cutting deep. It's not mean-spirited, it's surgical. He disarmed them with kindness and then held up a mirror. That's what made the whole thing so entertaining. It wasn't a fight, it was a reality check wrapped in charm.
Is no subject that's off limits,
Yeah.
and you are not getting paid for this interview.
All of that's correct.
I am here for it.
What made it even funnier was how Meghan tried to hold the same expression she always does. That soft, polished, slightly tilted head look, but her eyes told a different story. You could almost see the panic flash through when she realized people were laughing at the wrong parts. It's not that she said anything outrageous, it's that everything she said sounded overly practiced. Colbert didn't have to call her fake. The crowd figured it out themselves.
How long has that been around? Because you would think someone in human resources might have stepped in to tell Henry VIII that chopping off your wife's head could be interpreted as a hostile work.
The "I'm a real person" line was the cherry on top. Colbert repeating it back was comedic timing at its best. You know how your friend repeats your dramatic sentence just to tease you? Same vibe. Except this was on live TV in front of millions. It was playful on the surface, but underneath it was a total dismantling of her carefully crafted image. He basically said, without saying it, real people don't need to keep reminding us they're real.
I couldn't, call an Uber to the palace.
No, it's true. For a princess, you have to DM the fairy godmother so she can turn a mouse into your Uber driver and an acorn squash into a Toyota Camry.
What I loved most was that Colbert wasn't cruel. He didn't insult her or go for cheap shots. He just used her own words against her, letting the absurdity do the work. That's why it hit so hard. He gave her all the space to show authenticity, and she filled it with PR fluff. It's like when someone tries to sound relatable but ends up sounding like a corporate slogan. Colbert's dry "she's real" echo cut through that perfectly.
Oh,
Yeah, tough questions.
Gladiator.
Oh,
Yeah?
When he moved the conversation toward Harry, though, things took a darker turn. That gladiator moment? Wow. You could see Harry stiffen. When Colbert quoted Marcus Aurelius about what makes a good man and said, "Just be one," it wasn't meant as a dig, but it landed like one. It's one of those philosophical lines that suddenly makes you question everything you've been doing with your life. And the way Colbert said it so casually, that's what made it brutal.
emperor in that, Marcus Aurelius, the one who gets killed. Favorite quote in the world is from Marcus Aurelius. He said, "Let us have an end to this debate about what makes a good man and be one." Isn't that nice?
There you go.
You can use that.
Good knowledge.
You can use that.
Thank you.
It was such a simple exchange, but the tension was loud. Harry smiled that nervous, "I'm fine" smile, but you could tell it hit somewhere deep. Colbert had basically summarized every criticism ever thrown at him, without even trying. He didn't accuse or judge, he just quoted wisdom. And sometimes, truth hurts more when it's not wrapped in anger but in calm reason. That's why that line will live rent-free in everyone's head.
Woman, you got any tips for him?
I would not blame her if she pulled out of this at the last minute. I don't think you need to have just seen the pilot episode of The Crown to get a basic sense of she might be marrying into a family that could cause her some emotional complications.
Honestly, it's wild how Colbert managed to destroy the illusion without even raising his voice. Most people go for headlines and drama. He went for elegance. It was all in tone, in pacing, in how he let the silence hang just long enough for the audience to realize the punchline wasn't a joke. It was insight. Meghan and Harry came to promote their image, but they ended up exposing exactly what they were trying to hide. How rehearsed it all feels.
It's going to be weird for her. I would not marry into the royal family. I'm a commoner.
And the internet ate it up. Within hours, clips were everywhere. People couldn't stop quoting the "I'm a real person" bit. Some said Colbert was out of line, others called it his best work yet. But let's be honest, if you can't laugh at how serious they take themselves, you're missing the point. Comedy doesn't always aim to humiliate. Sometimes it just reveals. And that's exactly what happened here.
Finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H. What could it be? A mystery for the...
It reminded me why late-night TV still matters. It's the last place where someone can joke about power, fame, and hypocrisy without a PR handler cutting the mic. Colbert used humor like a scalpel. Meghan's every word sounded like a press release. His every response sounded human, and that contrast made the fakery scream even louder. You can't hide behind polish when someone keeps throwing truth in your direction, disguised as humor.
13th letter of the alphabet, and H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. 8 plus 13 is 21. 21 was Deion Sanders' number, and Deion Sanders' nickname was Neon Deion, obviously a reference to how they light up each other's lives.
After that interview, Meghan's whole real person narrative felt like a costume. You could sense she wanted sympathy, but Colbert gave her irony instead. And in that irony, you saw everything. The ambition, the calculation, the loss of self-awareness. It wasn't an explosion. It was a slow unraveling. And that's always more entertaining to watch.
In the 80s, I dated a very famous woman whose identity I will never reveal and only ever refer to her using our secret nickname, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher.
By the end, even the audience seemed unsure whether to laugh or clap. That's how you know Colbert nailed it. He left everyone suspended between amusement and discomfort. It's not just a funny segment, it's social commentary disguised as banter. Meghan wanted to look grounded. She ended up looking staged. Harry wanted to look strong. He ended up looking exposed. And Colbert? He looked like the only one in the room not acting.
A lot in common. I mean, who can forget that cruel headline in the Daily Mail? Princess Ariel's hairstyle is forked up. It was clear that the Duchess didn't know what she was signing up for.
The funniest part is that Meghan probably thought this would be a safe interview. Lighthearted, controlled, image-friendly. Instead, it turned into a masterclass in unintentional self-destruction. You can't fake authenticity in front of someone whose entire job is reading people for laughs. Colbert saw through the performance, and he didn't even have to say it out loud. He just smiled, repeated her own words, and watched the illusion crumble.
Let me introduce this thing called Google, okay? Over there, I think it's called Lori. It's full of useful information. For instance, turns out your husband knew Princess Di.
That's why everyone's calling it a hilarious destruction. Because it wasn't vicious or angry, it was effortless. A few jokes, a knowing grin, and two of the most media-trained people alive got completely undone by one man with a microphone. Sometimes truth doesn't roar. It chuckles. And that's exactly what Colbert did. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.